Growing up as a kid in the late 80s and 90s, you cannot deny the powerhouse that was Disney. Every new animated film that got released felt like an instant classic and added a nice entry to our oversized, plastic case VHS collection.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
The Mermaid, the Beast, Prince Ali, and the King of the Jungle himself. What did all of these movies have in common, besides their epic sing-your-lungs-out soundtracks? Traditional 2D animation. It wasn't just a style, but an art form that has defined Disney for so many years. But the rise in technology and massive success over at Pixar led to the slow downfall of 2D movies, eventually forcing Disney to shut down production on them altogether. But what exactly happened? Learn why Disney stopped making 2D animated movies, the real reason for their downfall, and how we can expect to see some type of revival in the future. Forget the theme parks, merch, sales, and soundtracks topping the charts. The world of Disney was literally built on 2D animations, starting with the classic Mickey Mouse shorts and transitioning to full-color, full-length films like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And with each new Disney movie that followed Snow White, the stories and music were original, but the essential art and design all felt like it came from the same family of animators. Just check out any group shot of Disney princesses. They all have a similar style and vibe that feels so Disney, giving you a sense of nostalgia, comfort, and happiness that stems from the animations they originally came from. And now, that's all that remains, the nostalgia. Why? Because Disney no longer produces 2D feature-length films. Instead, they are creating full CG movies like Moana, Frozen, and Wreck-It Ralph, which are all great movies in their own right, but could still have existed among 2D releases as well. Back in the mid-80s, films like The Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective, and Oliver and Company were not big hits for Disney and lost the company a lot of money. Then came the now dubbed Disney Renaissance, starting with 1989's The Little Mermaid and followed up with The Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, and Pocahontas. The big musical was back, with The Lion King being the most financially successful of the bunch, while Beauty and the Beast was the first animated movie to ever earn an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. At the same time, well, specifically in 1995, Disney also helped produce and distribute the first film from Pixar, the fully CG animated Toy Story. Toy Story would be a game changer in the industry, because not only did it help put Pixar on the map, but it started the invasion of CG movies. And while Disney definitely took notice, they were not quick to pull the trigger on CG just yet. Basically, Disney was sitting on a lot of cash and didn't really know what to do with it. So instead of continuing the formula of success, the company decided to divide and conquer. Literally, the company created a spin-off animation branch, first known as Disney Movie Tunes and later referred to as Disney Toon Studios. At first, the company made a lot of sense. They would focus on lower budget films that could still draw in a lot of money and audiences. This gave us some great hits like DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, and a Goofy movie. Then, the idea of these original properties was abandoned as Disney decided to try and bank off of literally almost every franchise they had. A rushed sequel to Aladdin was released in 1994, entitled The Return of Jafar. The animation quality was clearly different with a lower budget. The songs were completely forgettable. Considering this was one of Disney Toon Studios' first big releases, things only seemed to get worse from there. After the massive success of The Lion King, they released The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Little Mermaid got a sequel. Beauty and the Beast got a Christmas movie. And then they even brought back classics like Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Cinderella, and Bambi. You get a sequel, and you get a sequel! We're surprised that they didn't release Snow White and the 14 Dwarfs at this point. Meanwhile, with their resources split and spread out, the quality and popularity of Disney's bigger budget movies seemed to wane. While Mulan was a great film, it could not capture the same box office magic as the earlier movies and films like The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, The Emperor's New Groove, and Atlantis: The Lost Empire also failed to capture the same Disney animation magic.
Well, that is where you'd be wrong.
So while all of this is happening, the storytellers over at Pixar are having a jolly old time. A Bug's Life was a hit, Toy Story 2 was everywhere, and Monsters Inc. was on the verge of becoming a monster success for the company. On the surface, it's easy to see. Pixar uses CG effects for their movies and are having great success. Traditional Disney animation movies are not having as much success, and thus, the money-focused executives at Disney decided to get into the CG game. DreamWorks was creating mega hits like Shrek, and even Paramount was getting into the game with the Academy Award-nominated film The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. So in the early 2000s, it only felt natural that Disney's traditional animation felt outdated, and other companies felt more modern with their releases. At first, Disney branched out to other companies, producing alongside them for films like Valiant and The Wild. Their first in-house CG production was 2005's Chicken Little. Yeah, it's safe to say that these three movies have not held up over the years. It wouldn't be until 2008's Bolt, where Disney's CG began finding their groove and began transitioning to a full slate of CG releases. And while Disney loves the success they now have with mega hits like Frozen, the correlation between the use of CG over traditional animation is essentially unfair.
What?
Chicken Little has not held up over the years because of the story and failure to capture an audience's interests. Zootopia's theme and stories involving race, animal species, and acceptance are the heart of the movie, where funny gags and detailed animation is added on top of that. And while Disney Animation Studios may have been essentially forced to adapt a CG style of filmmaking, the world of traditional animation never needed to disappear. Disney simply needed to harken back to their old days and use magnificent storytelling without watering down the product. Creating multiple Little Mermaid animated sequels and a television series was too much for the franchise, with each new production seemingly on a lower budget than the last. Too much of a good thing could ultimately be a bad thing.
I knew that.
And this isn't just limited to traditional animation. Take, for example, Pixar's Cars franchise. When the first film premiered in 2005, it was bright, vibrant, and refreshing. The cars came to life, and the new franchise was born. Disney seemingly followed suit with the way they buried a lot of their traditional animation franchises by milking Cars for every cent they could get. By the time Cars 3 came around, fans were not sick of the CG animation, they were a little sick of cars being shoved in their faces. Basically, Disney did not have to abandon the traditional animation model. Films like 2004's Home on the Range didn't fail or disappoint because other 2004 CG movies like Shrek 2 or The Incredibles were dominating the box office. Frankly, it was just a boring movie. And the same could be said for other Disney movies around this time like Treasure Planet or The Jungle Book 2. In 2009, Disney released The Princess and the Frog, which would turn out to be their last feature-length traditional animation, besides various Winnie the Pooh titles over the years. The movie harkens back to their great storytelling, a compelling visual experience, and some memorable songs. It was also released in an era where a majority of big-budget releases were in CG, proving there was still a place for traditional animations in a competitive box office. While Disney abandoned the traditional animation style for theaters, they can look on their own television networks to see how it's thriving. Traditional animation still feels like king on television, including Disney hits like Phineas and Ferb or Gravity Falls. The details, designs, and art featured in Gravity Falls adds more to the series. The lines of the drawings and characters bring the show to life without the need for details and volume provided by CG effects.
Yeah, I guess.
Nickelodeon is also thriving on the world of traditional animation still, as SpongeBob SquarePants still continues to air. Other shows like The Loud House prove to be some of the biggest hits on the network and are all made with traditional animation. So what does the future hold for Disney after they've all but abandoned big screen traditional animation? Well, at this point, they are on the furthest end of the spectrum. Not only are they producing CG films, but they are making live action adaptations of their greatest traditionally animated hits. And you cannot fully blame Disney either. These films are making a ton of money, like billions of dollars. Films like The Lion King remake are the furthest thing from traditional animation, so it's only a matter of time before Disney returns to the format. Nostalgia is huge right now. Creating a new story featuring the classic musical plot and using 2D animation could prove to be a big success for Disney in the future, as adults try to capture a piece of their childhood with kids of their own. The key to the success of a new 2D film is the quality. The quality of writing, the quality of the songs, and the quality of the animation. The story itself should also be something original, avoiding some of the disasters or obvious cash cows that Disney Toon Studios produced over the years. Today's audiences of grown-up Disney kids realize that the traditional animated movies are more than just having the most realistic special effects, they are truly an art form. And the art of these Disney movies have thrived through more than just the movies. There are canvas prints, purses, the theme parks feel more popular than ever, and besides the new Star Wars land, a lot of this can be attributed to Disney 2D classics and the way they are used throughout the whole park, and there's plenty of room for more. Ideally, Disney could start with a 2D short premiering before one of their big releases. From there, a full-fledged production could move forward, combining the creative forces that made Disney so great, along with some new creative voices in the mix. Another advantage of these films is how timeless the art feels. Films like Peter Pan have the ability to hold up to modern-day viewing, while animations like Chicken Little feel dated or like an experiment filmmakers used as CG effects improved over the years. When traditional animation is done right, it has the long-lasting appeal and timeless quality to the design. But for now, the world of 2D Disney movies is dead, but just like live-action remakes, everything in the world of Disney has the chance to be resurrected. So what do you think? Is there room for more traditionally animated Disney films? Do you like to look better than CG? What story should Disney focus on next? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Screen Rant for more great content.